What impact has the Trump era had on animals that reside in our local zoo? Steve Simon reports.
Most of the animals in the zoo didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but the rhinos were surprisingly candid and eager to tell their side of the story. Our team was embedded with an older rhino couple that's lived at the zoo for over 20 years. We agreed not to disclose their names given their fear of retaliation in addition to their fear of identity theft.
Before Trump, I can't speak for all the animals in the zoo, but there was this sense of togetherness and belonging. The color of your skin or your species or whether you had stripes or spots didn't matter because we all wanted the same thing, the success of the zoo. Because we knew if this gig didn't work out, corporate would ship our sun-drenched asses to the Buffalo Zoo, one of the coldest-ass zoos in America.
The current administration has given permission to the animals in the zoo to let it all hang out and say whatever's on their mind, regardless of how contemptible it is. Yes, we're seeing a significant rise in hate speech at the zoo, particularly with regard to the black bears and the Chinese panda bears.
The zoo is also seeing a rise in toxic masculinity and misogynism, which first surfaced in the chimp quarters. My sources tell me it's especially popular with young males who were coddled by their overprotective parents. A mama rhino I spoke with characterized it as a, quote, dangerous ideology that spread well beyond the chimps, end quote. The chimps have been accused of trying to stir up what some observers say amounts to a civil war. One chimp I spoke to was upfront about their larger goal of, quote, burning the whole system down, end quote, and rebuilding it in the image of the proud chimp before he was, quote, emasculated and feminized by the zookeeper elites, end quote.
Some animal groups like the Nordic polar bears and the chimps argue that the zoo has too many flamingos. I call the polar bears the polarizing bears, which fits them pretty good. Whenever I mention the black bears, the Nordic polar bears go crazy and accuse me of DEI. Diversity at this zoo has become a dirty word.
And although the rhinos may regard themselves as progressive, some animals I spoke to accuse them of rampant xenophobia and territorialism. When I raised that issue, they didn't back down. They doubled down, in fact.
F you, pandas! There, I said it. Go home, pandas. Go back to China or wherever you came from. Because, frankly, you're too cute for this zoo, making us rhinos look tired and old.
Of course, we'd like to be the latest shiny object. Be cutesy like the panda. Have the eyelashes of the giraffe.
The stripes of the zebra.
If you don't like our weathered skin, sorry, but we're not into the plastic surgery thing. We may not look like fresh-faced teenagers, but we have wisdom and experience.
One rhino told me they were once a big deal at the zoo but have since lost status.
Little Tanner isn't lobbying his dad. Oh, Daddy, won't you please take me to see the old, tired, worn-out rhinos? We rhinos are the forgotten Americans of this zoo, and mark my words, we are being replaced by the pandas.
In this era of America First, the Chinese pandas pose a dilemma. While conceding they're a big draw for the zoo, some of the rhinos I spoke with suggested they could be spies for the Chinese Communist Party. Other animals pointed out the high costs of transporting them from China, prompting one gazelle to say, quote, it's like, take care of your own first, end quote. Some activists have accused the zoo of elevating elephants over donkeys in order to curry favor with the Trump administration and avoid a takeover of the zoo by the federal government. One rhino claimed that food and medicine intended for some of the most vulnerable and marginalized animals in the zoo is being diverted to the elephants. The zoo would not confirm or deny the allegation, saying only that the comment was made by a quote-unquote disgruntled rhinoceros. According to the Donkey Defense League, the habitat for the donkeys was destroyed by zoo employees who relocated the 17 donkeys to what is regarded as one of the most undesirable sections of the zoo, off the beaten path, where there's hardly any foot traffic to speak of.
I'm not okay with the fact that the first 3 letters of our name spells Dawn. That's completely offensive.
We should start a petition to have Dawn officially removed from our name.
So then we'd be known as the Keys.
That's already taken by Florida.
Instead of donkeys, the Black Keys. It's edgy.
Edgy and taken.
Okay then, the Dark Keys.
That's sick. Like Dark Brandon.
Darkies, really?
Huh?
They're going to accuse us of racism.
If you say it too fast, then yeah, it kind of sounds bad.
And the Democrats are supposed to be the party against racism, right?
Oh God. Let's just stick with donkeys.
A donkey bro I spoke with couldn't believe the zoo would single out the donkeys for what they argue is political retribution. He wanted our viewers to know that not all donkeys are political.
Bro, we're not a symbol or an icon or a logo. We're freaking donkeys! We're not partisan! Hello! We can't even vote! And no, I'm not involved in the drug trade, but if a joint's passed my way, it's not like I'm gonna say no.
The zoo denied the move was political or partisan, emphasizing the donkeys are a valued member of the zoo community and were moved to the very back of the zoo to make room for a new section, Panda Bear Park.
I'm so over the pandas.
Can you believe how they pander to the Chinese bears? Guess that's why they call them panda bears.
One rhino was nostalgic about the way it used to be during simpler times.
When the zoo'd close at night, we'd all get together under the moonlight for cocktail hour. The zebras and chimps and flamingos, who I love. I mean, who doesn't love the flamingos? But to be honest, they're a little on the stuck-up side and tend to drink excessively. But times have changed, and I don't mean to be melodramatic, but if this us against them mentality isn't addressed, I'm afraid it's going to tear the zoo apart.
What, if anything, can be done to unify the zoo? There was mention of bringing in a United Nations negotiator to sit down with all sides, but the idea was quickly shot down by the chimps and polar bears, which claimed the UN was a, quote, communist and anti-American organization, end quote. Sending it back to you at the studio.